18. Melanie Brown.
So I'm in a car. I don't own a car, so this is probably surprising. I am currently headed on a little autumnal forest weekend. I have 3 days in a row off work, which is very uncommon for me. So it's Saturday, and I was supposed to drive from London to my Airbnb near the Forest of Dean, but instead I have taken the train to Gloucester and rented a car from here because my original car hire wouldn't let me pick it up because I don't have return flights to the US, which doesn't make sense because I live here. And then I told them I live here, and then they said that my address check didn't work out. So I was supposed to leave London at 9 a.m. It's now 2:15, and I just got to Gloucester on the train, and I'm just picking up my rental car. So I'm still very excited for the weekend. Traveling doesn't always go to plan. But yeah, that's kind of my plan. I'm about to drive to my Airbnb, remember how to drive a manual car, which is good. So yeah.
All still the same. 나의 발자국 따라 하염없이
So I just got in to the Airbnb. It's super cute. It's a loft in someone's house, so there are people living here. The next B&B I'm in, I have my own little like tiny house kind of, which is exciting. But yeah, I'll show you around and I'll tell you a little bit about the books that I've been reading. So this is the bedroom part. I'll be sleeping there. There's a nice little view out the window. Hello, I'm here. And then you go down these stairs. There's a little breakfast nook. Super cute. And then the super nice bathroom. And a nice little bath. Because I took the train instead of driving, I did get to start a physical book, which was fun. I started The Secret Life of a Cemetery by Benoît Gallot, and this is a nonfiction about the current curator of the Père Lachaise Cemetery in France, which is one of the most famous cemeteries in the world. So it's interesting so far. I'm only 44 pages in, so it's kind of just introducing us to the cemetery and how the Père Lachaise came to be as the modern cemetery it is. I'm hoping to read some really autumnal, vibey books, maybe a little spooky or cozy, stuff like that. So I thought reading a book about a cemetery would be perfect for that. It's definitely a little lighter and goes more into like nature and stuff so far anyway. And then between the train ride and my drive from the car rental spot to where I'm staying, I finished How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. It is kind of a typical horror thriller. It's a little campy. It's a little over the top. Basically, in this book, a titan of the horror genre dies. He's left something in his will to these 7 authors, and they all get invited to his family estate, which is this huge mansion in the forest. It's kind of creepy. It's known as the inspiration for one of his most famous books, which is about a monster house. So they get there, and everyone who's invited is a really famous horror author, except for our main character. She is a struggling writer. She's been writing and pitching stories and getting rejection after rejection from all of her stories. We find out that each of these people have a connection to this deceased horror author. His last name was Queen. And we don't know how all these people are connected to Queen, but we do know that our main character has met the author, but only once, and can't remember anything about the meeting. So when all of these authors get to this house, it turns out that what he's left them is a game. And so the authors have to survive the house, basically. At the beginning, I thought it was really interesting. I was intrigued by how everyone knew the author until like the 50% mark, I was really into it. But as things started to get revealed, it felt very predictable. And most of the characters were pretty two-dimensional. And the author tries to give some of them some depth, especially the main character, but I think it kind of fell flat. I didn't really feel anything for any of these people, and so when deaths did start to occur, I didn't really care. And I felt like the ending was trying to set up this final twist, but I just didn't think it was that intriguing. So I ended up giving the book 3 stars. I don't read a ton of horror, but for me, as someone who isn't super well versed in the horror genre, this book still felt pretty predictable to me. Basically, I couldn't tell if how cliche it was meant to be commentary on the horror genre, or if it just wasn't very well written, which sounds very harsh. But overall, I had an enjoyable time reading. I gave it 3 stars. I would still recommend it. It's fun to follow, and it isn't something that I had to stop reading before bed or anything, you know. It felt like an accessible horror book, especially for beginners or people who tend to get pretty freaked out by scary stuff, like me. I enjoyed it, but it's not going to be like a new favorite book. My plan for the rest of this vlog and this weekend is to just kind of take you around with me when I explore the little towns out here, when I go hiking, when I walk in the woods, when I go to bookstores, and hopefully fit in a few more books. I brought like a little paint set that my mom got me, which is like a cute little travel paint set. And then I also brought my paint by numbers. So I'm planning on doing some audiobook listening, especially when it gets dark and cold, and I can just kind of snuggle up and have a few cozy little evenings to myself. I just finished The Return by Rachel Harrison like last week. And I've also read Cackle by her. And Cackle I didn't like. I gave it a 2-star when I read it, but I've thought about it a lot. And I think maybe I liked it more than I thought I did. I don't know. I was very early into reading horror. Like, it was one of the first horror books I read, and I didn't quite know what to expect. But I don't remember what I disliked about it. And The Return felt similar to me, but I really, really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars, and now I want to read more Rachel Harrison and maybe return to Cackle at some point and see if I like it more on a second read. I have So Thirsty and Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison out from my library on audio, and then she just had another book come out, something about a haunted house. It's a haunted house book. I don't remember the title, but that's a new release of hers, and I can listen to that through Spotify. So I'm kind of trying to decide which of the 3 I'm going to start. For now, I think I'm going to change into something more waterproof and go on a little walk and maybe get some food and maybe find a bookstore. So that's my plan for the evening. Hi, I hope you can hear me. I'm at Canop Ponds. So I drove from the place I'm staying about 15 minutes over the border to Wales, and all of the bookstores when I arrived were closing. I got in at like 4:40 and all the bookstores and charity shops closed at 5, so that was not the best timing on my part, but I still got to look in a few. There was one independent bookstore which was really cute, but I didn't end up getting any books from there. I went into a charity shop like 5 minutes before it closed, and it actually had a few gems, and I ended up getting 3 books, and altogether they were only £5, so it wasn't too bad. So I bought a Sylvia Plath poetry collection edited by Ted Hughes. I got On This Day in History by Dan Snow, and I think it just goes through every day of the year and gives an interesting historical event that happens on each day. Let's see. Today is September 20th. What is the interesting historical event that happened on September 20th? 20th of September. No one gave them a chance against the legendary discipline of the Prussian infantry. But today, in 1792, French revolutionary forces repelled a Prussian invasion at Valmy. Okay, so apparently, on the 20th of September in 1792, the French repelled a Prussian army. But yeah, I like reading nonfiction, and this one seemed fun. And then the one that I got that felt autumn vibes is called The Binding by Bridget Collins. On the back it says, Emmett Farmer is a binder's apprentice. His job is to handcraft beautiful books and, within each, to capture something unique and extraordinary, a memory. If you have something you want to forget or a secret to hide, he can bind it, and you will never have to remember the pain it caused. In a vault under his mentor's workshop, row upon row of books and secrets are meticulously stored and recorded. Then one day, Emmett makes an astonishing discovery. One of the volumes has his name on it. I paused because there were people, as you can see. They're now gone. But yeah, it seems like a fun little whimsical fantasy book. It has like kind of a weirdly similar premises to Watermoon, which I'm reading on my Kindle. So I'm interested to see how that goes. So that was my little book haul. Good morning. As you can see, the sun is kind of peeking through the clouds a little bit, which is nice. I'm gonna go to Puzzlewood today, which is the main reason that I came here. It's supposed to be this beautiful mystical forest that inspired Tolkien. So I'm gonna go there. I just had some toast with some butter and jam, finishing some tea, and I have been reading The Secret Life of a Cemetery. It's focusing a lot right now on COVID and how the cemetery changed in 2020, which I guess makes sense because the guy who wrote it only became the curator in 2018. But on the front, it says, "The wild nature and enchanting lore of Père Lachaise." So it's definitely going into the wild nature and how when they stopped using pesticides, animals started coming back and it just got a lot more green. And then also during COVID, that a lot more animals started coming out because there was less human traffic. But I did want more of like the enchanting lore. There was a section where he talks about the different type of people who come to the cemetery, which I really liked. And there are also a bunch of photos because this guy became known before he wrote this book, and kind of how he got this book deal is that he started taking photos of the wildlife in the cemetery and posted them on his social media, and he got kind of a following from that. So let's see, yeah, some photos of some blackbirds, a little cat in the cemetery. That's cute. And what he's talking about a lot right now is these fox cubs. Yeah, so it's interesting, it's cute. I like learning about the funeral industry. I read When Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Lessons from the Crematorium, and also Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, which is by the same person. But I guess I thought it would be more like atmospheric, which it's not really right now. But there's still time. I'm about halfway through. This is also an ARC, so I don't know how different that is than from the final copy. I didn't receive this ARC, like I didn't get sent this ARC. I bought it at Oxfam for £4, which I don't know if that's legal to sell ARCs, but oh well, I bought it, so I have it now. But it seems like the type of book that maybe if I finish it at the next Airbnb, I'll like leave it for the next person to read. I also wanted to tell you about what happened on this day in history. Let's see. 21st of September. Like so many others, Richard de Clare's family had found themselves on the wrong side of the Civil War that had followed the death of Henry I. His father, the Earl of Pembroke, one of Norman England's most powerful magnates, had sided with King Stephen rather than Henry's daughter, Matilda. Okay, so apparently, on this day in 1170, Richard de Clare, along with an army, stormed the walls of Dublin under the rule of Henry II. And so today was the start of the English rule in Ireland. My boyfriend will hate that. I'll have to tell him. But yeah, so the plan now is to walk into town. So I was thinking about getting maybe a little snack and a hot drink and then going to Puzzlewood because I have to check out of this Airbnb, unfortunately. It's been really cute. I would totally have stayed here for 2 nights if it was available, but I'm also looking forward to checking into the next place. So yeah, I'll take you along with me.
Penguin Random House Audio presents So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. Read for you by Brittany Presley.
We got nowhere to be, just a slow dance with the summer heat. World outside can't wait a few, 'cause right now we got nothing else to do. The sun is peeking through the cotton white light.
I got my chai and I had to go and dig out a scarf because it's been like not terribly warm, but still pretty nice out in the UK until literally today. It went down almost 10 degrees. I think the highs right now are like 15. Yesterday the high was like 21 and the day before that was 25. And I think we're finally in our cold snap, which will probably keep going, unfortunately. really feels like autumn now.
Coffee's cold, but we take a sip, talk about nothing. Let the morning slip. Oh, it feels like that, like summer air through window cracks. Oh, it feels like that, like summer sun on quiet tracks. Oh, it feels like that, like the summer rain that falls so slowly on the naked skin upon your back. Oh, it feels like that, like a love song on a worn out track. Yeah, it feels like that. Feels like that. Yeah, it feels like that. Na 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 na. Feels like that.
Hi, I'm back in the car. I finished up at Puzzle Woods probably like an hour ago. It was really cool. It was a little busy, but that makes sense. It's a Saturday. No, it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. The weather has been a lot nicer than I thought it would be. It's definitely cold, but it hasn't been rainy or overcast at all. It's actually been really sunny and nice. And there were a bunch of little animals at Puzzle Woods, which I wasn't expecting. There were these enormous Highland cows, and then there were little goats and little mini ponies, which was so cute. And then I just drove about 20 minutes to Titern Abbey. So I went and I grabbed a cheese and chutney panini, which is very British, and ate that while I walked to Titern Abbey. Now my plan is to drive to Ross-on-Wye, which is just like a cute little market town, explore there a little bit. There's another bookstore there, and there's supposed to be just some sweet streets and stuff, and then go check into my Airbnb. So I started listening to So Thirsty on the way to Puzzlewood by Rachel Harrison, and I like it so far. I got into the action and the synopsis pretty much right away. It's about this woman, Sloane, and she is kind of obsessed with how she's aging and how her life just kind of sucks. Her husband cheated on her in the past, and she's suspicious that he's still cheating on her. Her 36th birthday is coming up, and for her birthday, her husband got her and her best friend Naomi a weekend away at this cabin in upstate New York. And on a night out, Naomi meets this mysterious stranger who invites them to a party at his house. And once they go to this party, they realize something is not right. And she has to make some choices. It's pretty obvious it's about vampires. I mean, I don't know if they say it in the synopsis, but have you seen the cover? It's also called So Thirsty, so it's definitely vampiric. But the vibes so far are fun. I'm really interested in Sloane and Naomi's friendship because they seem like sisters more than friends, where they're mean to each other and they fight, but they really, really love each other. It's a little bit more like winter than fall, which I wasn't really expecting. And she's talking about how snowy it is and that people still have Christmas decorations up, so it's definitely leaning a little bit more winter than fall, but I'm still having a good time. And I am probably like 30 to 40% into the book already. It's a really quick listen. I'm liking it so far, and I'll definitely keep listening on my drive. I have got about a 40-minute drive, so I should get a good chunk done. This is the next Airbnb. I feel like a traveling fortune teller. Yeah, it's cute. When I got here, honestly, it was a little creepy because it's like very out in the woods and there's just nothing around. But yeah, I think it'll be cozy, especially when I turn on, there's like a little fireplace. It's an electric fireplace, but it looks like a wood fireplace. So I'm excited to turn that on tonight and put on some tea and get all cozy. And when I was in Ross-on-Wye, I did some thrift shopping. Most of the time, the charity shops are closed on Sundays, but in this town, they were all open, which is awesome. And I got 2 two things. I'll show you. Okay, so the first thing I got was this skirt. I don't know if it fits yet, but it looks very cute and like witchy and fall-like. And the other thing I got, which I must have forgotten to take out of the car, but they're these like knee-high brown boots, and they were 8 pounds, and they fit almost perfectly, like maybe a tiny bit small, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, but I'll show you those later. And right now, my plan is to go to Simmons Yacht. It's supposed to have a beautiful view of the valley, and then go grab dinner somewhere. Last night, I went to 4 different pubs before I found somewhere that served food and also wasn't full. So, not ideal. So I'm gonna go a little bit earlier tonight and then hope that I find somewhere easier. And if not, somewhere that I can like sit and wait for a table and like have a drink. So that's my plan for tonight, and then come back here. I only have like an hour and a half left in So Thirsty, and I'm still really liking it. There's something a little off with one of the characters, and I don't know what's going on yet, but I'm excited to see where that goes and where that leads, because I don't trust them. It's like a little bit too perfect. So there's something going on there that I don't trust. But I'm still really enjoying the friendship between Naomi and Sloane. It's still complicated. Sometimes they're like not nice to each other and they say shitty things, but they both obviously really love each other. But they're both acting a little stupid right now. And I just want to knock their heads together and be like, okay, just take care of each other. You don't know these other people. You don't owe them anything. Just focus on each other. I hope that's the direction it goes, but we will see. It hasn't been too like gruesome. Like most of Rachel Harrison's books, there are like 1 or 2 scenes of kind of like gross goriness that makes you a little uncomfortable. But besides that, it's not super gruesome. It's more like a light horror. Is that a thing? Yeah. So I'll just bring you along and keep you updated.
All still the same. 나의 발자국 따라 하염없이 꼭 붙어갔던 그 길 어느새 또 여기 Can I miss you? Why aren't I with you? In this autumn rain 내 마음을 적셔 잔잔한 비와 너의 향기에 취해 이 밤 같은 너로 줄래 그리고 보내
So this cute little fireplace is not actually a fireplace, it's electric. I'm trying to figure out how to turn it on. So, ooh. I don't know what. Okay, ooh, that's warm. Okay, it's making an annoying noise now, something I don't want. I'll come over here. Basically, I just had dinner. I went down to a little pub on the river. I don't know if you can hear that. I hope it's not too annoying. I went down to a little pub on the river and I sat outside, which was really pretty, and painted with this little mini paint set that my mom got me. I'm not good at art, but I've been trying to do more things that I enjoy even if I'm bad at them, because you don't have to be good at your hobbies. I was down there, I had dinner, I got this vegetarian curry, which was actually very good, and then I brought my boots in from the car. So these are the boots I got at a charity shop. I think my plan is to just like chill for the rest of the night. The noise is annoying me. I forgot to mention I finished So Thirsty, and I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I was kind of disappointed with the ending, quite honestly. I thought that there were gonna be some reveals, or we were gonna understand a little bit more about the backstory of some characters, and we just didn't really. And I feel like a lot of things were introduced, especially moral dilemmas that Sloane was really struggling with. and then she didn't actually really deal with them. So I was a little confused by the purpose of the ending. But it was still a good time. Similar vibes to other Rachel Harrison's, where it's like kind of horror, but a little lighter because it just doesn't feel that serious. I definitely haven't given up on her. I do want to read Such Sharp Teeth and the new one, which I keep forgetting to look up the name of. I think for the rest of the night, I'm going to do some painting, I'm going to do some reading, I'm going to make myself some tea, and just get cozy. I'm heading back to London today. First, I'm going to go to the Gloucester Cathedral. I'm also going to go back to Colford and try to go to that Forest bookstore because it looked really cute, but it was closed yesterday because yesterday was Sunday. So that's kind of my plan for today. I have to return the car at 2 p.m. and then my train is at like 2:15. I'm still a little more than halfway through in the cemetery book. I mostly caught up on booktube videos when I was painting last night. And I wanted to read you the day of history today. Let's see. Today is 22nd of September. 22nd of September. The Portuguese had led the way. Ships loaded with spices from the east had earned their owners astronomical sums upon their return. English seafarers, emboldened by their victory over the Spanish Armada, dreamed of making similar voyages and profits. It was too risky for any one individual, so today, in 1799, a group of merchants met in London and together agreed to invest the sum of £30,000. They followed up with an appeal to the Queen for her patronage, which after a few attempts she deigned to bestow. So today, in 1599, the East India Trading Company was born. Great. Just a quick update to let you know that I got a matcha, I got a book, and I got a compliment on my boots.
Darkness till break of day. The heart and the past changing so fast, like a chameleon. Red ones and blue skies. What did we know? We were so very young.
I'm in a hostel right now. I move into my sublet in like 2 days, but right now I'm staying in a hostel. But I realized that I never gave you a final update on my little weekend away. So I wanted to do that. First of all, I did buy one final book while I was in Colford at the Forest bookstore. It's called The Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayasuji. And I had never heard of it before, but on the front it says, the Japanese cult classic mystery. And that sounded fun, and it sounded autumnal and spooky. On the back it says, the lonely rock-bound island of Tsunojima is notorious as the site of a series of bloody unsolved murders. Some even say it's haunted. One thing's for sure, it's the perfect destination for the K University Mystery Club's trip. But when the first club member turns up dead, the remaining amateur sleuths realize they will need all of their murder mystery experience to get off the island alive. So it's kind of like a, and then there were none. One by one, people get picked off, and it just seemed fun, and it was £2. So I thought I would pick it up. The other update I wanted to give you is that I finally finished The Secret Life of a Cemetery, and I ended up giving it 2 stars. Now, this is the sort of 2-star where I didn't have hard feelings towards the book. It just didn't really give me much. I guess I was still wanting more about the lore and the history of the cemetery, but the author mostly goes into his own experience in the death industry and stuff, which I think is very interesting. I've read a lot about that and I think it's really fascinating, but he doesn't go very in-depth. It's all pretty surface level, and most of the chapters just end with kind of a sweeping generalization that I find to be pretty obvious. He goes a lot into how being in the cemetery during COVID made him appreciate nature more, or made him realize that death is just like a normal thing. And maybe if this was the first book about working and living in the death industry, or about like appreciating nature or anything like that I had read, I would have felt more impacted by it. But I honestly was kind of like, I didn't feel like I got anything new or groundbreaking or even that interesting out of this book, which is unfortunate. It's also an arc, so I don't know how much changed in the final copy. If you are interested in Père Lachaise specifically, this cemetery in Paris, I would still recommend picking up this book if you can find it. I don't think it's a bad book. It's just not something that I particularly got much out of. It honestly felt like it could have just been an extended essay or a journalism article, and it would have been really interesting, and it was an interesting topic to go into, but I don't think it needed to be 200 pages. And wow, this feels really harsh, but I feel like the author got a book deal because of his circumstance and the fact that he has a pretty unique job, and then happened to become popular on social media because of his pictures. And I don't know if there was a really great story to tell. I just don't think the book was really necessary, quite honestly. So I'm gonna give this 2 stars. I still had a great weekend, and I'm glad that I read the books I did. I had a good time with both So Thirsty and How to Survive a Horror Story. Just neither of them were new favorite horror or thriller books, which is totally fine. I still had a really enjoyable time reading them, and I would recommend both of them for different audiences. I think if you like Rachel Harrison books, I would recommend So Thirsty. It gives the kind of vibes that you're looking for if you want a lighter, more theatrical, I guess, horror book that isn't scary. Like, I didn't find it very scary, but it was interesting and I had a good time reading it. For me, it was the ending that disappointed me, and honestly the same with How to Survive a Horror Story. It was the last probably 20% that kind of let me down. So overall, over the weekend, I had 2 3-star reads and 1 2-star read. But I think in a long weekend, 3 books is pretty good. And I'm also pretty happy with my book haul, which was The Decagon House Murders, Sylvia Plath Selected Poems, The Binding, and On This Day in History. So maybe I'll read you one final history fact of the weekend. Oh, it's also the shortest one I've seen so far. 23rd of September. She was not an old ship, but she had done too many years of service on the Spanish Main, where warm water and humid air turned oak to sponge as shipworm munched its way through the planks of the hull. Today, in 1641, Merchant Royal was finally nearing her native England, but her crew were fighting a minute-by-minute, unceasing battle with the rising water in the village as seawater seeped in unstoppably. The weakened ship fought the gale and lost. Her pumps failed, and she sank on 23rd of September. More than human lives were lost. In fact, an English government report stated that the loss was the greatest that was ever sustained in one ship. When she sank, the Merchant Royal had been weighed down with gold and silver. It is estimated that there were 100,000 pounds of gold aboard, valued at around 1 billion pounds in today's money. It is one of the most valuable wrecks of all time. It has never been found. That's interesting. That's the most interesting one we've read so far, so I like that we're ending it on that. But yeah, that's all I have for you. Thanks for coming with me on this weekend and watching me hike and paint and read and just keeping me company. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.